Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff so high the clouds are below your feet. No guardrails, no safety net, just you, the wind, and a 3,000-meter drop. Now imagine doing that every single day just to go to work. Or imagine sleeping in a tiny metal box the size of a wardrobe, bolted to the side of a sheer rock face on a mountain in Italy. And the only toilet is outside, on the cliff, in -20 degrees. Or walking through a place where the ground is literally melting beneath you. The air smells like a chemical factory, and the temperature, 50 degrees Celsius in the shade. Welcome to planet Earth, a planet that is honestly far weirder and far more extreme than any sci-fi movie has ever shown you. Today, we're going to 10 of the most impossible, most extreme, most breathtaking corners of this planet. These are places that most humans will never visit, some places that most humans don't even believe exist. Places that challenge every single idea you have about where human beings can survive and where they shouldn't. So buckle up. We are going to the edge of the world 10 times. Dhankar Monastery, India. Let's start in India, because why go to the most extreme places on Earth when one of them is right here, hiding in plain sight in Himachal, Pradesh? Dhankar Monastery. And before I tell you what it is, let me tell you what it looks like from the air. Imagine a brown, ancient building perched on top of a needle of rock over a valley that's 3,890 meters above sea level. It doesn't look real. It looks like someone took a Minecraft castle and dropped it on the worst possible terrain they could find. This monastery is over 1,000 years old. It belongs to the Spiti Valley, a cold desert region so remote that for much of the year it is completely cut off from the rest of India. No roads, no connection, just snow, silence, and monks who chose this specific cliff to build their home. But here is the terrifying part, and this is the part that UNESCO is very, very worried about. The rock that Dhankar sits on, it is crumbling. Centuries of erosion, earthquakes, and weather have weakened the foundation so badly that Dhankar is officially listed as one of the most endangered heritage sites on the planet. It could collapse completely within our lifetimes. 1,000 years of history, of prayer, of human endurance just gone. And yet, monks still live there. Pilgrims still climb that cliff. Travelers still make the brutal journey to Spiti just to sit at those walls and stare into the valley below. Because there is something about Dhankar that does something very strange to you. When you stand at the edge of that monastery and look out, the Spiti and Pin rivers merging far below, the mountains in every direction, the impossible silence, you feel very, very small. And somehow that smallness feels good. This is humanity's oldest instinct, building homes in impossible places, because sometimes the most extreme location is the safest one. When you're on top of a cliff that only a handful of humans can reach, who is going to attack you? But from the frozen heights of the Himalayas, let's cross into a world of heat, silence, and sand, where ancient civilizations left behind a landscape so dramatic it's been mistaken for another planet altogether. Wadi Rum, Jordan. And if you feel like you've seen this place before but can't quite place it, that's because you have. Ridley Scott filmed The Martian here. Lawrence of Arabia was shot here. The filmmakers of Dune used this landscape. Scientists and directors keep returning to Wadi Rum for the same reason. It looks exactly like Mars. The red sandstone formations, some of them nearly 1,800 meters tall, rise from the desert floor like something assembled by a civilization far older and far larger than ours. There are no gentle, rolling hills here. Everything is vertical, everything is red, everything is ancient. Wadi Rum has been continuously inhabited for over 12,000 years. The Nabateans, the same ancient civilization that carved Petra into the rock, left inscriptions on these walls. There are petroglyphs here that are over 4,000 years old, human hands chipping meaning into stone in one of the most inhospitable deserts on the planet. In summer, temperatures in Wadi Rum touch 40 degrees Celsius by day. At night, they can drop to near zero. There is almost no water. The wind can strip the sand off the ground and turn visibility to zero in minutes. And yet, the Bedouin people of Jordan have called this desert home for centuries. They know every canyon, every water source, every shadow. They move through Wadi Rum not as visitors afraid of the desert, but as people who are part of it. There is a lesson buried in the red sand of Wadi Rum, that the most extreme environments on Earth are not necessarily empty. They are just selective. They keep out the weak, and they reward lavishly, profoundly, those willing to endure. Speaking of enduring extreme conditions, what if I told you that there is a place where humans not only survive, but sleep on the side of a sheer rock face, hundreds of meters in the air? Italy, of all places.
Bivacco Buffa di Perero, Italy. Look at this. Look at it carefully. That is a hut, a shelter, a place where human beings go to sleep, and it is bolted to the side of a nearly vertical rock face in the Italian Alps at an altitude of 2,840 meters. The Bivacco Buffa di Perero is one of the most dramatic bivouac shelters in the world. A bivouac, in climbing language, is essentially an emergency shelter, a place to wait out a storm, a place to sleep when you are mid-climb and the summit is still a day away. And sleep is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence, by the way. Nobody is getting a restful 8 hours in a metal box clinging to a cliff. The hut holds just a handful of people. It has no running water, no heating, no connection to the outside world. To reach it, you must climb. Technical mountaineering, ropes and anchors and harnesses. There is no easy path. There is no path at all, actually. And yet, alpinists from across Europe plan their climbs specifically to spend a night in this hut. Because from its tiny windows in the early morning, you see something that almost no other human on the planet gets to see. The Alps stretching in every direction, peaks disappearing into the clouds, and you suspended between rock and sky, 2,800 meters above the world. There is something almost meditative about a place this extreme. When you strip everything away, comfort, connectivity, safety, you are left with only the essential, your breath, the rock, the light. Humans have been climbing impossible terrain for centuries, not always for survival, but for something harder to name. A need to be somewhere that tests you absolutely. A need to earn the view. From a metal box on an Italian cliff, let's move to a body of water so high above sea level, it sits in a realm between earth and sky. A place so sacred that the local people believe it is the birthplace of the gods.
Tilicho Lake, Nepal. At 4,919 meters above sea level, Tilicho Lake in Nepal is one of the highest lakes on the planet. To put that in context, Mount Blanc, the highest peak in Europe, is 4,807 meters. Tilicho Lake is higher, and it is stunning, jaw-droppingly, almost aggressively beautiful. The water is a shade of turquoise so intense it looks digitally edited. The lake sits in a natural amphitheater of rock and ice, completely still, completely silent, a mirror reflecting a sky that at this altitude is a deeper, darker blue than you have ever seen. At this height, The air is so thin that even talking requires effort. Your lungs are working at roughly 50% capacity. Your brain is slightly confused. You are, medically speaking, suffering. And yet, people call this beautiful. Humans are deeply strange. The trek to Tilicho Lake is grueling. The trail climbs through the Annapurna Circuit, one of the most famous trekking routes in the world, and then above it. The final approach crosses a steep, crumbling scree slope where one wrong step means a very long fall. But it has been done for centuries. Hindu and Buddhist pilgrims have been making this journey since ancient times. In Hindu tradition, Tilicho is believed to be the Manasarovar of the Annapurna region, a sacred body of water connected to the divine. In an older Tibetan text, this same lake is mentioned as a place where the gods rest. In 2023, a glacial lake outburst, a sudden catastrophic release of water from a glacier, sent a flood down the valleys below Tilicho, destroying bridges and trail sections. Climate change is now threatening not just the trek, but the lake itself. Glaciers that feed Tilicho are retreating every year. Scientists estimate that within decades, the water level and ecosystem of this ancient lake will be fundamentally altered. Something sacred, something irreplaceable, on a timer we set ourselves. But if Tilicho is one of Earth's most serene extremes, our next destination is something else entirely. Something that looks like a hallucination, something so strange and so vivid that you will genuinely question whether you are still on the same planet.
Emerald Salt Lakes, China. These are real. I want to say that up front. These are actual photographs. This is not AI generation, not color grading, not a painting. This is a place that actually exists on the Qinghai-Tibet plateau in China, and it looks like this. The Daichedan Emerald Lakes, sometimes called the Emerald Salt Lakes, sit in the Chaidam Basin at around 3,100 meters elevation. They are the product of an extraordinary geological accident. Extremely high concentrations of different minerals, magnesium, lithium, sodium, potassium, combined with algae, bacteria, and shifting light conditions to produce water that is literally, visually, electric green. If you showed this photo to someone without context and asked them to guess the location, I would bet money most people would say a video game or a fever dream, not Qinghai, China. The colors shift with the seasons. In summer, the water turns an intense jade green. In winter, salt crystals form on the surface, transforming the pools into something resembling an alien ice world. From above, the geometric patterns created by the salt flats and water channels look like abstract art on a scale only visible from a drone or a satellite. For most of its history, Daichedan was completely inaccessible, a remote industrial area on a high-altitude plateau used mainly for salt and mineral extraction. The discovery that it was also astonishingly, impossibly beautiful is relatively recent, driven, like so many such discoveries, by a drone and an internet connection. Now it has become one of China's most dramatic geotourism destinations, but access remains difficult. The altitude causes altitude sickness, the salt flats are unstable, the region is still partially industrial. It is not a place that welcomes casual visitors easily. There's a theme emerging here, isn't there? The most extraordinary places on Earth almost always require something of you. They are not gift-wrapped. They do not come with smooth roads and Wi-Fi. They ask you to earn them. And no place on this list asks more of you or offers a stranger reward than our next location, a place where the Earth itself seems to want you gone, a geological nightmare that is also, somehow, one of the most mesmerizing spectacles on the planet.
Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. The Danakil Depression in northeastern Ethiopia is, by almost every scientific measure, the worst place on Earth to be a human being. It sits 116 meters below sea level, one of the lowest points on the planet. Average temperatures in the region stay above 34 degrees Celsius year-round, frequently exceeding 50 degrees. The ground is covered in active lava fields, sulfuric acid pools, and salt formations colored neon yellow, green, and orange by the extreme mineral concentrations. The air smells of sulfur dioxide. The ground can literally give way beneath you, thin crusts of salt over boiling geothermal pools. In 2017, a small group of tourists crossed into an area near an active lava lake, and the ground collapsed. Several people died. This is a place with no tolerance for mistakes. And yet, somehow, the Afar people have been living here for thousands of years. Because when you've normalized living in the Danakil Depression, I imagine everything else in life seems quite manageable by comparison. The Afar people mine salt here, have done for centuries, long rectangular slabs cut by hand from the flat salt pans, loaded onto camels and carried to markets across Ethiopia and Eritrea. In a region with no formal economy, no infrastructure, and conditions that would hospitalize most people within hours, the Afar have built a trade route, a culture, a home. Danakil is also, paradoxically, one of the most important sites in the study of the origin of life. The extreme chemical and temperature conditions here are believed to mimic those of early Earth, the conditions under which the first single-celled organisms appeared. Scientists studying how life began in impossible environments keep coming back to Danakil, because if life can exist here, it can exist almost anywhere. Mars, Europa, the deep oceans, the extreme environments of Earth aren't just beautiful anomalies, they are proof of concept for the existence of life in places we haven't reached yet. From the lowest point on this list to the highest, we are now going to a railway line that sits above the clouds, crossing one of the most hostile environments in human transport history. And what's remarkable is not that it exists, but how it was built.
Qinghai-Tibet Railway, China. At its highest point, the Qinghai-Tibet Railway reaches 5,072 meters above sea level. That is over 16,600 feet. It is the highest railway line in the world. The train crosses the Tibetan Plateau, one of the most inhospitable terrains on Earth, a vast, frozen, oxygen-depleted wilderness often called the roof of the world. To travel from Xining to Lhasa on this railway takes roughly 21 hours, and for much of that journey, you are traveling through a landscape so vast and so empty that the human brain genuinely struggles to process it. The plateau stretches in every direction, flat and treeless, to a horizon that seems impossibly far away. The sky is a shade of deep blue you do not see at lower altitudes. The train also pumps supplemental oxygen into the passenger cars, because at this elevation, breathing ambient air for 21 hours would leave most passengers with altitude sickness. So you are essentially in a pressurized tube crossing the top of the world, which is either deeply impressive engineering or absolutely deranged, depending on your perspective. Building this railway was considered by many engineers to be impossible. The permafrost, permanently frozen ground, across much of the plateau is unstable. Lay tracks directly on it and they will shift and buckle as temperatures change. The solution was extraordinary. Engineers designed special supports that actively cool the ground beneath the tracks, keeping the permafrost frozen and stable even as global temperatures rise. 2,000 kilometers of track, 675 bridges, 102 tunnels, built at elevations that gave workers altitude sickness, in temperatures that froze equipment, on terrain that moves. The Qinghai-Tibet Railway is not just a transport link, it is one of the greatest engineering achievements of the 21st century, a statement in steel and concrete that there is no terrain human beings will declare off-limits. Which brings us, appropriately, to a place where humans have done something that even by the standards of this list is genuinely, deeply, wonderfully, inexplicably mad. A hole in the ground, in the middle of a desert, on fire for over 50 years. Let's go to Turkmenistan.
Darvaza gas crater, Turkmenistan. This is the Darvaza gas crater, nicknamed the door to hell. And I want you to understand what you are looking at. This is a crater approximately 70 meters wide and 30 meters deep, located in the Karakum Desert of Turkmenistan, and it has been on fire continuously since approximately 1971. How? In 1971, Soviet geologists drilling for natural gas hit a pocket that caused the ground to collapse, creating this large sinkhole. The decision was made to set the methane gas venting from it on fire, the thinking being that it would burn off within a few weeks and the problem would resolve itself. It has been over 50 years. The fire is still burning. I think we can safely say that the few weeks estimate was slightly off. In 2022, the president of Turkmenistan ordered that the fire be extinguished, concerned about the economic loss of wasted gas and the environmental impact. Attempts have been made. The fire continues. At this point, the Darvaza crater has outlasted multiple governments, the Soviet Union itself, and several serious engineering efforts to stop it. At night, the crater illuminates the surrounding desert with an eerie orange glow visible from kilometers away. Standing at the edge, which you can actually do, there is no fence, you feel the heat from 30 meters below. The sound is extraordinary, a deep, constant roar, like a living thing breathing. Turkmenistan is one of the most closed, authoritarian states in the world. Visiting requires special permission. The road to Darvaza crosses hundreds of kilometers of empty desert. There are almost no tourist facilities, no infrastructure, no help available if something goes wrong. And still, people come. From all over the world, they cross one of the most restrictive borders on the planet and drive into an empty desert in the middle of the night, just to stand at the edge of a Soviet accident that went catastrophically and then somehow magnificently wrong. From an accidental wonder to an intentional one, our next destination is a kingdom, a hidden kingdom, sealed from the world for decades, perched at the edge of the Himalayas, guarding ancient caves that predate written history.
Mustang, Nepal. The Kingdom of Mustang. Until 1992, this place was closed to all outsiders, a restricted zone, a forbidden land. Nepal allowed it to exist as a semi-autonomous kingdom ruled by a king, the Raja of Mustang, who answered to Kathmandu but governed his own territory by his own ancient laws. Mustang sits in the Himalayan rain shadow, meaning the monsoon rains that drench the rest of Nepal never reach it. The result is an arid, wind-carved landscape of deep reds, oranges, and yellows, dissected by ancient river gorges. It looks more like the American Southwest than the Himalaya, and from its cliffs, literally carved into the cliffs, are thousands of caves. Thousands of caves in vertical cliffs, some of them accessible only by rope. And archaeologists in the 1990s opened them and found bodies, manuscripts, paintings, a civilization that had been living and dying in cliff caves for over 3,000 years. The sky caves of Mustang are one of the great unsolved archaeological mysteries of the world. Who built them? How? At heights of 50 to 100 meters on sheer rock faces with no obvious path of approach?
The current theory is that the cave network was used for burial, for meditation, and for shelter, but the full picture remains unclear. Lo Manthang, the walled capital of Mustang, is a medieval city preserved almost intact. White mud brick walls enclosing a maze of lanes, temples, and palaces, unchanged in fundamental character for centuries. The annual Tiji festival, a 3-day ceremony performed by monks in elaborate costumes, reenacts the mythological defeat of a demon, a story told here for over 600 years. The last Raja of Mustang, Jigme Dorje Palbar, died in 2016. Nepal formally abolished the monarchy of Mustang in 2008, a living, governed kingdom with a king that existed into the 21st century, and most of the world had never heard of it. Our final destination today is in some ways the most extreme of all, not because of its geography, though that is extraordinary, but because of what it tells us about how far humans will go and how long they will endure simply to survive. We are going to the far eastern edge of Russia, and it is cold, and it is dark, and it is magnificent.
Chukotka, Russia. Chukotka, the Chukotka Autonomous Okrug, a region on the extreme northeastern tip of Russia, so far east that it actually crosses the international date line, so remote that the nearest large city, Magadan, is nearly 1,000 kilometers away, so cold that average January temperatures reach -30 to -40 degrees Celsius, and in some inland areas lower still. And just 86 kilometers away across the Bering Strait, Alaska, America. On a clear day from the right headland in Chukotka, you can see the United States. 2 nuclear superpowers, 2 utterly different worlds, separated by water you could technically swim, though I would strongly advise against it. Chukotka is also the only place on Earth where you can be technically closer to tomorrow than to today, because the international date line runs through the strait. So you can stand in Monday and look across at Sunday, which is either a philosophical metaphor or just a maths problem, depending on your disposition. The Chukchi people have inhabited this coast for over 4,000 years. They are sea hunters, whalers, walrus hunters, who built a culture around survival in conditions that most humans cannot survive in without modern equipment. Their traditional round dwellings, the yaranga, are masterpieces of insulating engineering. Their routes across the sea ice, navigated without instruments, represent thousands of years of accumulated knowledge. Chukotka also harbors one of the great wildlife spectacles on the planet. Pacific walrus, over 100,000 of them, haul out on beaches along the Chukchi coast in late summer. The sight is extraordinary, an undulating mass of enormous animals, the noise and smell overwhelming, the sheer biological abundance astonishing. Gray whales migrate along this coast. Polar bears roam the sea ice in winter. In summer, the tundra comes briefly alive with Arctic foxes, reindeer, and millions of migratory birds. Chukotka sits at the edge of what was once the Bering Land Bridge, the ancient pathway across which the first humans entered the Americas some 15,000 to 20,000 years ago. The people of Chukotka are, in a very real sense, the descendants of the humans who decided to walk east and kept walking into a world no human had ever seen.
10 places, 10 corners of a planet that is far more strange, far more extreme, and far more extraordinary than most of us sitting in our comfortable homes, scrolling our comfortable phones, ever stop to realize. A monastery on a crumbling cliff, a desert that looks like Mars, a metal hut on an Italian rock face, a lake higher than the tallest peak in Europe, neon green salt pools that look like alien art. What connects all of these places? It is not extremity, it is not beauty, it is something else. It is the evidence of human presence.
In every single one of these locations, no matter how hostile, how cold, how high, how toxic, there are human beings. There have always been human beings. And maybe that is the most extraordinary thing about this species. We see a cliff and we build a monastery on it. We see a desert and we plant our stories in its sand. We see a frozen plateau and we lay down a railway line. We simply cannot leave extreme places alone. I think there is something important in that, something worth sitting with. The world is not fragile, it is not always safe, but it is astonishing, and it is yours if you're willing to earn it. If you found this video interesting, share it with someone who thinks they've seen it all. And if there is a location on this list you want me to deep dive into in a full separate video, leave it in the comments below. I read every single one.